Today we're going to be looking at the Remstone Expert Advisor. So this bot is really interesting, and a few clients actually brought it to my attention because they thought it might be worth looking into and that it could be a real trading bot. So the gentleman here apparently has a background in asset management and actually has founded a few different companies providing signals and has been in this industry for a while. And also, reading the actual sales page, there are quite a few really interesting points here and several style anecdotes which I would completely agree with. So effectively what he's saying is that this appears to be a real trend following bot. And trend following is one of the oldest styles of developing systematic trading strategies. And many of the large funds out there, like commodity trading advisors, to this date actually follow this type of model. And if you ever read the Turtle Trading book, they made millions of dollars in the, I think, 70s and 80s, effectively using this strategy. And what he's saying here is that effectively with a trend following model, which is 100% correct, you would have a win rate which is rather low. So 30% win rate, it's to be expected because you cut your losers quick and you let your winners really just ride and run for a super long period of time. That's how this approach works. So very logical. So let profits run, take a lot of small losses, like trend following, so follow the trend, and effectively you want to do something which follows these general principles. And this is also very counterintuitive for most trading bots because most trading bots are the opposite. And he's really pointing this out quite beautifully here, where he's saying that most trading bots tend to be based on like holding your losers for a long period of time and taking profits quickly, which leads to inverted risk rewards. And effectively, that is not super sustainable in the long term because it's very hard to build a bot or build any sort of systematic trading strategy that has that kind of result, because you just can't usually have an edge over a super long period of time. What he's saying here is that this bot also actually trades various metals, cryptos, indices, as well as even pairs and currency pairs. And why this is neat is that he's managed to pick things which usually trend. So that's super logical, like the NASDAQ, the Nikkei, and the DAX are all a well-diversified portfolio of indices. At the same time, the crypto assets of Bitcoin and Ethereum generally trend in a certain direction as well. Metals look good. Copper is actually kind of interesting. I've never seen too many trend-following bots on copper, but it could certainly work. And he's also picked the dollar yen because as much as many currency pairs don't necessarily trend as much, because the Japanese economy has been stagnating for so long and the US economy has been growing for so long, we have been effectively seeing a trend in that pair too. So really it's quite neat. What we can see here as well is that he's really holding open positions open for a very long period of time. One thing to note is you're going to have to be careful to use a low swap broker here, because we're seeing like even when he's holding, kind of the balance tends to go down over time, which makes sense because essentially swaps are kind of eating into your equity over time. So just be careful when you're using and selecting a broker. But what we can see here, looking at his actual kind of results, it's really impressive. We have nice, slow and steady results. He is holding for an extended period of time. We are seeing that he's actually getting positive swaps sometimes, but we are seeing that when he's having a winner, it's much larger than the loser. So he's going for these really, really big winners. And yeah, so actually really, really interesting. And I'm running a backtest here, which is just about to finish up. So while it does so, we can go and look at some of the actual, look at some of the pairs. So here you're able to, I guess you'd have to specify the exact pairs. I'm running this one just on Euro-dollar, but let me quickly actually pause it and run it on all of these to get a better indication of how that works. Let me pause the video and I'll be right back. Okay, so we are back after I correctly matched all the symbols to my broker. And if we go here and we look at the deals, we can see that it's indeed trading a whole bunch of different assets in a very, very trend-following approach. So essentially what he's looking to do is he's trying to essentially catch a trend in some of these assets and then ride it all the way until end of year, which is a true classic trend-following approach. And pretty much in all of these back tests, he's holding it almost all the way until the end, depending on what exactly, as long as like the thing keeps going up, he's just holding it. So he keeps opening more and more positions and effectively holding them until the close. And that's how we're seeing this major detachment in the equity from the balance line to move my head up here, because effectively he's not closing positions for a very long period of time, and then slowly but surely the swaps are kind of eating away at your balance, but you have this huge shoot up when he actually closes positions. The one thing which is a bit odd in my mind is that if we look at the live signal, it's a bit different than this. It isn't just holding for like 5-6 months. So maybe when you run it live, it's a bit different than running it in a back test. That's kind of a bit interesting because he seems to be closing his positions if you look at the actual signal. But the strategy itself makes sense. Like, this is a tried and tested approach. It's been around for a very long period of time. I would venture it's probably a breakout of a certain amount of candles that he's deciding to enter on, and then he's just holding for a super extended period of time. So overall, it looks like really, really solid. The one thing to note is that trend following goes through periods where it does incredibly well or it does really poorly. So right now we're in a very, very trending environment where gold is really rallying like crazy. Bitcoin is also rallying. Many of the equity markets are also doing super well. So this style of system will work really well. Whereas if we entered a period of like super, super choppy consolidation, perhaps it wouldn't look as good. And if you look at like many of our like superstar trend following traders like Richard Dennis, etc., this happened to them in the 80s, where they had like these ridiculous returns, making crazy, crazy money until like the markets changed, and then they all got butchered. And then it came back eventually, right? It's just trend following has almost these cyclical natures where you go through periods doing incredibly well and periods doing more kind of mediocrely. But all that to say, this is a real bot. It's a real bot. It looks really cool. It's following a trend following approach, classic like moving average based systems. So there is absolutely something here, and it's quite interesting. So I'm curious to see like how it performs over a longer period of time. But it looks like the developers put some good thought into it, and I think that there's really an interesting strategy here because it's been around for a super long period of time. It's trading multiple markets, so it gives you that optionality to pick things which are indeed trending. The actual back test looks real, the signals look real, so overall I'm very impressed. And my own personal trading strategies, I'm a big fan of the high risk reward, kind of more like riding trends as well, so it aligns with my own ethos for trading too. So guys, yeah, definitely check this one out, super interesting, and let me know if you end up buying it.